start.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you attending the session, depending on your time zone. It's a delight to reconnect with the IIST Shibpur fraternity. Welcome to this exciting panel discussion from Shibpur to academia, paths to US universities and faculty roles. Today we are celebrating our shared roots and showcasing the incredible journeys of our esteemed alumni. This event is organized by GAABESU. This session aims to inspire and guide students and alumni who dream of pursuing higher education and academic careers in North America. It's an opportunity to learn from those who have already walked this path. We are privileged to have Professor Pratik Dutta from the 1990 mining batch as our special guest. Professor Dutta is a Dean, Research and Consultancy at IIEST and a former GAABESU secretary with a remarkable legacy of academic and alumni contributions. Our panelists today are four accomplished recent alumni who have started their academic careers in the US. Dr. Amrita Roy Chowdhury is our first panelist, 2015 CST, Assistant Professor Computer Science, University of Michigan, former postdoctoral scholar at University of California, San Diego. She completed her PhD in Computer Sciences, University of Wisconsin-Madison. She is also a recipient of the GAABESU Research Award. Our next panelist is Dr. Indrajit Srivastava, Assistant Professor, Texas Tech University, former postdoctoral research associate at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, specializing in bioengineering and spectroscopy guided cancer surgeries. He did his PhD in bioengineering on cancer nanotechnology from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. He is also a recipient of the GAABESU Research Award. Our next panelist is Dr. Somdatta Goswami, 2013 Civil Engineering Masters from IIST Shibpur. She is an assistant professor at Johns Hopkins University, did her PhD in structural mechanics from Bauhaus University, Weimar, Germany. She was a postdoctoral research associate in the Division of Applied Mathematics at Brown University. Our last panelist is Dr. Subhradeep Roy. I think he is still joining. He is an assistant professor at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Dr. Roy did his PhD in engineering mechanics from Virginia Tech. I am Sayanta Barman, a proud 2000 civil engineering graduate from IIST Shibpur, and I am thrilled to host this session. Soham Mitra is my co-host for today's session, and he will be mostly managing the chat sections and will be moderating the question answer session. So let's dive in. Professor Datta, it's such an honor to have you here. Let's start with a nostalgic question. Could you please share a memorable experience from your Shibpur days that influenced your career?
There are plenty of experience, because in our time, let me tell you about the very journey of mine that which was influenced by some of the greatest professors I have ever come across. So at that point of time, I was attending their classes, and then I wanted to be a teacher first of all. And at that point of time, we didn't have a lot of experience or concept about research, because in our days it was Bengal Engineering College. So primarily it was teaching. Teaching was the focus. We never, at least I don't remember that a lot of time being spent by the students or the professors doing their research. So the primary motive was to be a good teacher, first of all. And so that really, I joined Coal India as in our time, most of the mining graduates would join, and I just followed the same path. But later on realized that probably that's not the world that I'm really looking forward to for my future. So then I changed track, and driven by that, that desire of becoming a good teacher, engineering teacher. So I joined for higher studies and all. Then gradually, I just realized that the importance of research and other things. So that was the path, So probably, I cannot specifically tell about any specific incident, but yes, I was really influenced by some of the greatest teachers in our time.
Excellent. Great answer. So our next question to you would be like, as the new Dean of Research and Consultancy, what message would you like to share with our alumni attending today, and how they can contribute to enhancing research and consulting efforts at our alma mater?
First of all, let us go through the history of our institute over the last few years. And prior to becoming the IIEST, we were progressing fairly well into research because that culture was there. Because I have been here because I was student of BE College. I joined in 1995. That was DU. I saw the transformation from DU to BESU and then finally to IIST. So I have seen the entire journey. And prior to this 2010 or that period, 8, 9, 10, another period. So the main focus of most of the faculty members, at least the majority of the faculty members, on the research. So research was picking up. And one of the main reasons why we were converted to IIST because our per capita, research output was pretty high, and it was even comparable to some of the IITs. Per capita means the kind of grant you are getting from the government and the kind of output that you are giving, and because that was one of the parameters for considering us as one of the institutes which can be converted into an IIT. So anyway, so after conversion of IIST also going on pretty well, but I clearly remember, for example, in the first National Institute of Ranking Framework, that was 2017 or that period. So our research ranking was 6th in the country, just after the five IITs. And gradually, due to some mismanagement and other things that administrative issues, so that thing really started declining. And then for the last 5 years, it was not a very good period for our institute because of various reasons. But now what I find that once again, that enthusiasm is back over the last 1 year or so. I find there is new spring on everybody's feet and everybody's working, at least trying to get into a lot of funds and collaborations. A lot of things are happening right now. So my message to the alumni will be that we have some established credentials right now available in the university, especially some of the younger faculty members who have joined in 2019 and 2024. So you have a full pool of new talents and some experienced people. And we have already excelled in many areas, and we're looking forward to working in many areas. And we are planning to set up a few centers of excellence in some of the areas, very modern areas. And but we are still in the formative stage, and probably very shortly as the dean, I'll call a meeting of all alumni just to discuss about vision plan, research vision plan. And that is something we need to establish, the vision plan. We are working on it. Already, many faculty members have come forward and gave their views. So the first thing is that we're looking forward to how to develop our vision plan. And then, of course, we have so many alumni in different positions, in academic positions, in different research positions here and there. So today is a time of collaboration. We cannot survive alone sitting in an island. So we need a lot of collaborations, and I see that young, our very talented boys and girls who have flourished into the research, and they're already into many in the academia positions abroad and even in India. So definitely, I'm looking forward to all our youngsters and even the experienced alumni, so that in what we can collaborate. We are open to discussions, we're open to talks. So I'll be sharing all the strengths that already we have. These are the areas that we can highlight and these areas where we can collaborate. And I think alumni are main strength. Through alumni strength, we can go for collaborative projects. So that is something I'm looking forward to.
Great, great. Yeah, very comprehensive answer. Thank you, Professor Datta. So our next question to you would be like, you made significant contribution as an alumnus, faculty member, former GAABESU secretary, and now as a dean. Like, what message would you like to share with our current students about effectively engaging with alumni and GAABESU?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty new to the dean position. Okay, so I'll be talking because it's only 1 month old. I've been in this position. So I'll be talking more about my connect to alumni and in different positions as faculty, as in GAABESU. So there are a few things. What I find right now that most of the interest that alumni, I mean, our students having alumni interest or interest in the alumni or alumni having interest in institute, that is mostly what I find that it is in the B college era and BESU era. I don't find, I mean, very sad to say this thing, but I don't find a whole lot of interest like it was previously from the IIST graduates. Please pardon me for saying this. I know there are some IIST graduates here too, but that is something is happening. So our thing is that when I was in college, I remembered that how this my alumni connect started because at that point of time, wherever I used to go, because in mining, being in mining, we used to go to for some training here and there. So everywhere I'll go and search some alumnus. So anybody I find in Bengali, I'd ask, are you from B college? Yes, that was the normal answer. Okay, so wherever I go, I used to go, I just try to find out the alumni connect. And during our what do you call that Rebecca or something, that time Rebecca was not the reunion. It's a reunion time. We used to see a lot of alumni coming, and that was a kind of lot of interest I had. And I remembered that if you can recall that in our time, that we had a reunion that actually was to be organized by the students only separately. And I remember that at least 1.5 months I used to spend roaming around Calcutta and connecting with alumni to get some funds and everything. So from that period of time, that kind of connect started with alumni, and that flourished as we matured in the process. And that kind of connect I find missing from the current students because ultimately this relationship, everything is nowadays is built on relationship. So if you can build this strong relationship with your alumni, ex-students, you can go far. That is something this kind of message I should try to, convey to our recent graduates or even the current students that GAABESU has been the platform which has already given you some connect. Try to consolidate GAABESU, not only membership, but try to be active volunteers. And even without GAABESU also, you can really go ahead in life and connect to alumni. And it's a time to pay back. Wherever, the institute give you something. And when you get to your official positions, then you start to earn and then develop some kind of stability. So try to pay back. Payback meant not only in terms of financial contribution. So whatever knowledge you gather, so that knowledge you can share. Okay, and always try to guide your juniors. That is our strength. That should be our strength, and we should continue in this way.
Great answer, Professor Datta. It's very important for connection to with like for students to build connection with alumni. Absolutely rightly said. So let's now hear from our panelists, the other four panelists, like about their journeys from IIST Shibpur to academia in the US. Panelists, as you share your story, do include a memorable moment from your Shibpur days. We can start with our first panelist, Dr. Amrita Roy Chowdhury.
Okay, I can get started. As Sayanta has already mentioned, I graduated from, I think mine was the first batch when we converted into IIEST. We were
I
in
think
our fourth
second
year.
batch.
Yeah. So I graduated in 2015, and then I came for my PhD at UW-Madison. And then I did my postdoc at UCSD, and I recently just joined this semester at University of Michigan as an assistant professor. And in terms of a fun memory, I really have fond memories of the time I spent in hostel. I really enjoy looking back to those days as just goofing around, having fun with my friends. that's a really fun memory.
Nice, nice. So we can go to next panelist, Dr. Indrajit Srivastava, if you can add your answer.
Oh yeah. So I think as Sayanta mentioned, I did my undergrad at IIST Shibpur in metallurgy, and then after that I did my PhD at University of Illinois. I was supposed to go to Germany with the Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship in 2020, but we all know what happened in 2020. COVID happened, and that pooped all over everything. So I had to recalibrate it. So I stayed back at the University of Illinois to do my postdoc, but I wanted to work on more translational and diagnostic projects of relevance. So I found a labs that did that. And speaking of the fun memories, I think my answer would probably be a little more unconventional than people before or after me. So I think one of the fun things that I did in my undergrad in Shibpur was getting introduced to the Premier League, soccer or Premier League football. So on weekends, I think in the hostels and Richardson Hall, we used to watch a lot of soccer or the Premier League. And that actually helped me because when I started grad school, it will be a very arduous journey where on some weeks you'll be just fed up with everything. And so I think on the weekends, the Premier League football that I started watching in my undergrad, that was my work-life balance kind of thing, where on weekends I would just watch soccer and then I would be recharged the next week to tackle grad school again. And that's why I have a very fond memory of watching soccer with my hostel friends and Richardson friends. And that's I think I still remember those days.
Great, great, great answer, Indrajit. So we can then move to Dr. Somdatta Goswami.
Thank you, Shanto. So I think you've already mentioned I did my master's in civil engineering from IIEST Shibpur. It wasn't IIEST then, it was GAABESU Shibpur. And after my master's, I worked for 4 years with a company called Tata Consulting Engineers Limited. And after working there, I kind of realized this is not where I would want to go in future. I changed directions, applied for DAAD fellowship, and then with that fellowship, I pursued PhD in Germany. It was also on structural mechanics, but quite unconventional at that time that I kind of converted from structural mechanics to scientific machine learning. And with that idea, I moved from, after completing my PhD I started exploring more scientific machine learning and got my postdoctoral position in Brown University. After my postdoctoral position at Brown, I joined Hopkins. I started January this year as an assistant professor in civil and systems in Johns Hopkins University. Fun memory, actually, I've grown up listening to these stories of GAABESU and BESU because my father, my uncle, they are all from Shibpur. So my fun memory, probably I would say I have visited Shibpur so many times during my childhood that I know every nook and corner of that place. And during my time over there, I had really fun time, as Amrita mentioned, in the hostels, and I knew her from then. So it was really a fun time in the hostels that I could talk about.
Great, great. Nice to know all these stories. Then we can go with our last but not the least panelist, Dr. Subhradeep Roy.
Thank you, Shanta. It's such a pleasure to be here. As you said, I graduated from Shibpur in 2010 with bachelor's in mechanical engineering. In Shibpur, some of my best memories are pulling the all-nighters in the hostel to prepare for final exams, then heading out to for coffee at 4 a.m. to keep ourselves awake somehow. Those were absolutely unforgettable moments, and still I cherish them. After finishing my bachelor's from Shibpur, I went to IIT Kanpur to pursue my master's, and then I earned my PhD from Virginia Tech in the US. My research is in the area of studying complex systems, which has been a very deeply rewarding field for me. Currently, I'm a tenure track assistant professor at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Daytona Beach campus in Florida. Again, I'm very excited about today's networking event. It's incredible to see such initiatives that foster connections with the alumni community. Thank you so much for organizing and giving me the chance to share my journey. So it's truly inspiring.
Thank you, Dr. Subhradeep Roy. It's also we also want to thank you for all of you coming here. like all the panelists, Professor Dutta, so for giving us time. So let's now move to some focused questions. I will direct one to each panelist for a quick response. So first I can start with Dr. Amrita Roy Chowdhury. Like the first question is like crafting a compelling statement of purpose is a significant challenge for many of our current students. As someone who has been through the application process and now serves as an assistant professor, what advice would you offer to students on writing an impactful statement of purpose?
So you mean the SOP for the grad applications?
Yes.
Okay. So the biggest thing that you should know whenever people are looking through your applications, time is the most precious thing for anybody who's looking at. So the initial glance that they're going to look at is probably never going to be more than 5 minutes. If they're probably spending 5 minutes on the application, that means they are probably interested in it. So the biggest thing that you have to do is you have to somehow make yourself stand out, your application in that quick skim out of people are looking through over 500, 600 applications. How do you stand out in that 5 minute skim? And one of the things that any professor, when they're scanning for the students, they're looking for is they have to be convinced that you know a little bit about research in the sense that you know what you're getting yourself into. Like if you can convey that idea that, of course, the expectation is not that you will know entirely what the process is about. That is what PhD is, a training process. That is what we are here to teach you. But if you can convey that you have a sense of what you're getting into, you know what entails the journey that follows, you know what is expected of you, that would be helpful. And kind of along that line, in case, let's say if you have had prior research experience, so one of the things that you should not do in your SOP is repeat whatever information that already we can see from your CV or transcripts. That is literally a waste of space and time. You're just repeating information. That is not giving us any extra thing. SOP is a place where you have some personal voice. You're speaking something in your own words that we can't just get assess directly from the numbers on your transcripts. So let's say if you have had some prior experience in research projects, so the things that would help here is if you can say something concrete, not like, okay, I did a project for 3 months there, describe what the project is. No, concretely, if you can say what is the exact contribution that you made, what you found to be interesting about the project. These are again giving us personal experiences, like peek into your personal experiences and why you are individually interested in doing research. So keep these things in mind when you're writing your SOP.
Great answer. Amrita, I think current students are taking notes, very valuable points. So next question, I will go to Dr. Indrajit Srivastava. Financing graduate studies in the US can be a daunting task. What advice would you offer to students on effectively managing and funding their graduate programs?
Yeah, so that's a tricky question because graduate studies are like so long that your first choice should be to like get a funding or a funded PhD admits. And I think the best way would be to start off by like reaching out like potential like advisors. And as Amrita said, that the SOP is like the best way where you can be yourself but not be repetitive. But the best way to like finance like grad studies is just get a funded admit. And there's like steps how you could do it where before you start applying, you could reach out to like potential advisors by a cover like a simple like email and have a template. I think on my lab website, I'm going to share these details like pretty soon because I've been like reached out about it. And in that like cover letter, do not make it generic because as we all know, like for as assistant professors, we get like over like 30, 40 emails a day for people joining our lab. So you have to like stand out. And in that email as well, you could like be a little bit more concrete, like, oh, if you have like some past experiences, like research experiences, which are like multiple research experiences, that would be good because that shows you can work on like different kinds of projects. The other thing would be like why you want to join my lab. There should be like a small paragraph. If you have read like a previous paper from my lab or you have read something that we work on, but also interests you. So those things help. So I think if you reach out to your potential advisor like the summer before you start, or like the year before you start applying, I think that would be a good way to like gauge, because they have like funds and they can take you as like an RA or a TA. And this is like probably the peak time. And then there are also like many schools that they give you like the funded admit first, like you apply for their PhD program, they give you a funded admit, and then for the first year they cover your like stipends and everything. And so for like in Illinois, like I think in the bioengineering, they gave this option as well, where you join, they will like give you a funded PhD admit, but the end of the first year, you would have to find an advisor you want to do your PhD with. But the first year, they would cover all your stipends. So first semester, you have to do a TA. The second semester, you do rotations and like different labs. So there will be like 3 rotations. So you work with 3 different professors. So that gives you an idea like, okay, once you're actually involved in the research, like how interested are you in? Because PhD is like 4, 5, 6 years. So unless that like piques your interest, it's like very hard to like sustain for 4 or 5 years. So I think those are the 2 options that they could do, is like pre-app, where they like apply to the professor the year before they're supposed to start, and have a structured methodological letter, and not just like a generic mass email kind of thing. And here you can attach your CV, but also make sure that they're like pretty much like, I think Overleaf has like very good templates that you could follow, because I think like self-sponsoring a PhD is like not an option for like most of us, because it's like 4 or 5 years, and tuition fees here are like very, very tremendously high. So
Great answer, Indrajit. Yeah, it's good to know all such insights. Uh, Thank you. So next we move to Dr. Somdatta Goswami. So this question is like, how did your Shibpur experience prepare you for academia in the US? Like, how did you prepare yourself before joining as a PhD program in US?
I did not do any serious research before I stepped into Shibpur. So Shibpur was my first time where I actually did some serious independent research. I was advised by Professor Subhradeep Chakraborty from civil engineering. So he introduced me to the idea of research, and actually in that span of 1.5 year of research time, because the other 6 months actually went into coursework. So I had like 1.5 year time to do a slightly bigger project with him. So he taught me a couple of things which really helped me through my journey of PhD and postdoc, was formulating research questions like what is feasible and what is not feasible in a certain stipulated time. So he actually taught me that, coming from the idea of reading papers, finding out loopholes, and from that smaller loophole, how can I carve out a smaller problem so that I can target for writing a small journal article before I graduate. So that's one thing. Second is developing a methodological approach, like how you're reading the papers. If you're reading them, start from a topic and try arranging your thoughts in a aligned with what you want to do. So that helps tremendously, so that you don't divert and you don't diverge into multiple ideas, sticking to one idea. And beyond technical skills, the master's program helped me start with academic writing. For my master's, I actually got one journal paper and uh, two conference papers. So it was quite challenging during that time, but I would say my advisor made me do all those things. So academic writing, presentation skill, and the best was time management. That helped me through this whole journey.
Great answer. Yeah, excellent points. So last question to Dr. Subhradeep Roy. Having research experience is often valuable for applicants. What guidance would you offer to a student starting fresh at Shibpur on how to initiate their research journey early?
All right. So my advice is to a student starting fresh at Shibpur would be to begin exploring research opportunities early. Start by identifying what interests you the most. If there are like student clubs, like or groups that are active, that aligns with your interest, start joining them. It could be a robotics, it could be like programming. Then look for like research active faculty members uh, and approach them, like try to participate voluntarily in their ongoing research projects. As it was highlighted before, gonna get an idea of what it takes to do research. And even like small contributions can teach you valuable skills. Like and those contributions may lead to like co-authoring a paper. We also, the point came up about like technical writing, which is highly valued. Um, it's going to strengthen the CV, but also helps understand the research process and gain this kind of like experiences, including technical writing. It's also going to help like building relationships with the faculty members and who gonna provide you like the recommendation letters, which are very crucial. So my suggestion is to take initiative, stay curious, and start early.
Great answer. Yeah, it always helps to start early because that means you are in that path basically. Now, we will ask a question from the alumni standpoints, like who are currently pursuing PhD or postdoctoral research. This question is for each one of you. Like, what advice would you offer to those aspiring to secure a faculty position in North America? Let's start with Dr. Subhradeep Roy.
All right. So I actually conducted a 1 hour workshop before to my like junior PhD students at Virginia Tech. I have a lot to share, but I'll keep it brief. My advice for candidates who want to like secure faculty positions is to focus on first building a strong research profile early on, publishing in reputable journals, presenting at conferences are really important. That kind of establishes that you have expertise in the field and you can make meaningful contributions in the field. Networking is very crucial. Like attending these conferences, you get to meet the best in the field, collaborate with peers, connect with established faculty members. Those are very important. One thing I would suggest is like take opportunities to gain teaching experiences. When you're looking for faculty positions, like especially recruiting junior like students who have like fresh graduates from universities, we are aware of that they may not have like a full teaching experiences, but whatever they have, like even small effort, like as a teaching assistant, as an instructor, that adds a lot of value. Like take up any opportunities to teach or assist courses. You can get some experiences what it takes to build a course, developing materials, all of that, different classroom teaching efforts like active learning strategies. You're going to get familiar with those steps, with those strategies. One very important key factor in landing a good faculty position is showing that the candidate's research has the potential to attract external funding. So how success of a faculty member is often measured is how well funded the research is, especially from like reputed funding agencies like NSF. And it is very, very crucial that the candidate's research direction is distinct from the past advisors. So if I'm doing the same thing, which my advisor, my PhD advisor, my postdoc advisor have been doing, why the funding agencies is going to fund me? They're already established. They have done job this, like they have contributed to this field before. So funding agencies will tend to support them, right? So the key is to find one area which is going to be unique, be creative, which is going to best on the expertise that you have gained, the skills that you have gained working as a postdoc, working as a PhD student, capitalizing on those research effort, but finding one key area that's going to be very unique. So that shows that the independence of the candidate's research ability, and they can bring also fresh ideas to the table. And lastly, I would say it takes persistence to find a faculty position. Rejections will happen. Stay determined and like believe in your idea. So it's going to happen.
Great point, Subhradeep. Now we will go to Dr. Goswami if you want to add some points on the same topic, like how to find a research faculty position in North America.
I would say I echo with all the points that Subhradeep raised. They are actually all very important points. Apart from this, there was a couple of different things that I did specifically. Before getting a faculty position, I actually visited I actually tried to go to conferences targeted where I knew that this professor is coming and I wanted to talk to him. So that really helped. And because I knew a little bit of insight about what the department is looking for, what's the faculty search targeted towards. That's one thing. The other thing is there is never write a general research statement, teaching statement. Read the advertisement very carefully and find out what are the positions that they are looking for and cater to at least one or two of them. Teaching experience, you can actually, if you're a postdoc and you're transferring to a faculty position, the best would be you can actually help your advisor in the course that they are teaching, and that gives you very good insights how developing of a new course would be when you start your own position. That helps, and I think rest everything was covered by Subhradeep.
Great points, Somdatta. So we will tell Dr. Indrajit Srivastava, do you have any guidance for what would be your thought process?
I think everything is like well covered by the previous two speakers. And I think I just wanted to touch base on like the teaching part. I think like Somdatta said, like as a postdoc, if you're there. So since I did my grad school here, I did TA a few courses. So, but TAing is like just at the backside, you just do review sessions and things like that. So that doesn't like necessarily like introduces you to like what teaching would pertain when you become a faculty. So that's like something. And as a postdoc, like my advisor would travel a lot. So I would just like merely like volunteer that, hey, you're traveling for like a week, so could I teach these two classes? And that like helped me like decide, okay, whether teaching is also something that I can do like long term, because as tenure track faculties, we have to like balance both like research and teaching. And so with that, I think the teaching is like very important. I think as Shibboleth said, like research is also like very important, and you have to show that you can attract funding. So for most schools, they do like a seminar talk, but they also have a chalk talk where you explain your like research or like your aims in like 30 minutes, and then you say like where you're getting your funds from and like what are the agencies you're targeting. And like I said, you have to like distinguish yourself from the past advisors. So my advice would be to like make sure that when you're writing your research statement, make sure that you include like specifically that, okay, once you talk about your aim one, say that, okay, how this will be distinct from your past advisors in just 2 or 3 lines. So that if any people feel, oh, if I'm doing imaging, my past advisor did imaging, but how is that different? But imaging is a very broad term. And then you are focusing on something else. So like explicitly say that, because people who will be reviewing your applications might not be an expert in imaging, so they can like track this. And once you have the chalk talk, which is for 30 minutes where you talk about your research, explain it in a way that you say that, okay, this is what I am doing, this is what my boss did, but how is that is different from what I'm proposing. So if you like say these like keywords, people like remember that, and like that helps you, because if you evade these points, uh, like someone might just think that you're just basically like doing what your advisor did like slightly differently, and that might not be something that you want to do. And as Somdatta said, like conference is a good point, and I think like in the last couple of years, a lot of these conferences like that are geared towards like hiring faculties. So since I do bio stuff, there's a biomedical engineering society. They actually have the meet the faculty candidate sessions for recent like PhD graduates and like postdocs who are in the faculty market. And that definitely helps, where you go in, there are like 40, 50, 60 other candidates in there. And all the hiring universities, they're aware of that, and they stop by your poster, they interact with you, and then encourage you to apply. So that's like a very good FaceTime before you even start your interview process. And I think like these 3 points is like what I would like focus on uh, when I'm like trying to like look for the faculty positions. The other thing is like I think for most PhD disciplines, there might be a requirement for a postdoc. There might not be a requirement for a postdoc. But if you're doing a postdoc, I think the essence would be that you do it in an orthogonal research direction than what your PhD was, at least in like what bioengineering or like what we do, because that helps to like explain why you actually needed like a postdoc experience in the first place. And then the final part is, I think I did a postdoc in a lab that the advisor was like super hands off. He was like always traveling, and that actually helped me because I was basically mentoring already like the grad students in the lab. So there were like 4 grad students, so I was their like senior mentor kind of thing, and so I was invested in their projects. And if they got stuck, I would like give them ideas on how to like move along. And so that helped me, like that gave me like a basically like a short bridged course of like how to be a PI while I was still as a postdoc. and not many places like give you that opportunity. And so once I was choosing to continue in Illinois, I think that was my requirement, where I could have these attributes where I could teach, give like lectures when I wanted, and then also like lead senior undergrads or senior grad students in the lab. Yeah.
Great points, Indrajit. So we will go to Dr. Amrita Roy Chowdhury if there is anything else you would like to add on how to find the faculty positions.
Yeah, I mean, most of the things have already been stated. I mean, I can only just speak from my experience, which is computer science based. I think if you're at a stage where you're a PhD student and you are kind of hoping for a career in academia, the most important thing is building a research profile. That's the most important thing. Because you need to be able to go to a stage where you have to have your feet across the door. That is, you have to get invited for interviews in the schools. And the most important thing there is how good your research is. So if you're a PhD student, I would say the primary thing that you should focus on, because the profile for an academic candidate, there are certain bars, like there you have to reach a certain N number of publications, top quality publications. So there is a certain bar that you have to reach with your research. So then the most important thing that you should do is just focus on doing amazing good research.
Great point. Thank you, Amrita. So the last section, we will open the floor for audience questions now. This section will be conducted by Soham Mitra. Soham, you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here.
So yeah, you can take over this section.
Okay, thank you so much, Santo, for conducting the session so far and for such an insightful discussion. We have already received some questions in our chat and also received some in our WhatsApp group. So I'll start with the first question that we received in our group. What guidance and tips can you share for securing a PhD PhD at your university? And specifically, how does someone prepare their research, like potential PhD subjects, because that is sometimes a daunting task to find the subject that they want to do a PhD on, and how to understand the admission requirements. Like any of you can take this question.
I can maybe talk about PhD topics. So the primary thing that you should PhD is a very long haul process. So you should be able to, the only way that you would succeed is you should really be motivated. In the sense, you should be excited to solve this problem. You have a problem, you want to be that, yes, I need to solve this problem for my own. So the only way you can be motivated by solving a problem is if you are genuinely excited by it. So the primary thing I think that you should think about when you're choosing your PhD topic is, does this truly excite you? Is this something that you will not be able to sleep at night before solving the problem? Because you need tenacity. Most of the days you will be just breaking your head trying to solve the problem. You need to keep yourself motivated when things probably you won't be having too many positive news during the cycle. So the only way you can do it is if you are really like a dog with a bone, that I want the answer to this problem, and you have to be truly excited by the area.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think something that you have to be really passionate about. So that's definitely the answer. So there is a question in line to this question, that is it possible to make a strong PhD application without prior publications?
It is. I don't want people to get discouraged. I mean, but the honest truth is actually currently, if the pool of students that even I see, the things have become extremely competitive. Like even when I had applied versus now, I am sometimes surprised that, oh my God, like the applications that I see, students already come in with publications in top tier conferences, like multiple publications. So unfortunately, the hard truth is that things have become really, really competitive. So I don't necessarily want to be discouraging and saying that it is completely impossible, but it would really help, or at least if you have not had concrete prior research, if you can at least make the case that you have made an effort, did some problem solving, maybe if it's not exactly the traditional research, publication-based research, but if you can showcase somehow that you have done something beyond just your coursework, maybe that could help.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Amrita, for your answer.
I can add to that if time
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just agree with like everything Amrita said because it's getting like so competitive. And I'm like I reviewed like the NSF, like the grad school applications like last year, and they're like super competitive. And how can you like reject anyone where they have like every checkpoints that you wouldn't need like in a potential like a PhD student? So I think yeah, it's totally agreed that 10 years ago when we applied in like 2015, 2014, it was like very different times. Whereas now everyone has like upped their game. So it's like very hard for us to say that, oh, publications would not be important, but because once we see applications, you would want someone who has like the research experiences, but has also like played a part in like writing up publications because in grad school you would have to like write a fair few of those. And then if someone has that experience, I think the only thing that I would recommend someone is that publications take time. So if someone has that, and if you're going for the application cycle, there's no way you can like get a publication like 2 months or something. But what I would recommend is like if you're just starting now as an undergrad, I would go for like the versatility of your research experiences. Like at the end of the second year, you get a research experience in a different lab. In the third year, you go for a different lab. So when you write your statement of purpose, you could also like crush this hard by saying that, oh, yeah, sure, other people might have publications, but I have like the versatility of experience. So when I come to your program, I can adapt it better. And that's like how I wrote my research statement of purpose, even though I had like a publication, but it was not like a top tier one. So I played it hard. And I said that, yeah, I have adaptability where irrespective of like how like deep end of project you give me, I have the tenacity to like drop on these experiences and then make it work. So I think, yeah, if publications are important, but you can also go for like a multiple diversified research experiences, and that could be something that you can cash in as well.
Thank you so much, Dr.
I
Indrajit.
can add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like I completely echo what Amrita and Indrajit already mentioned. Also, as Indrajit mentioned, that it takes time to get a publication actually published. Like it takes some months. What I would suggest is take opportunities to work with faculty members who are already reputed in their field. Gonna need some recommendation letters. So if you don't have like your work still published, the professor can vouch for you and say, okay, you did a great job. It's still there. It's under review, but that can complement. Also, as a faculty, when I recruit students, I try to recruit talents. Like why I say that is, if you have published a work in one research, do not be always conservative and always think that that's going to be my PhD. I changed my area from what I started my master's, not currently what I do. So I would say like staying open-minded is very important. Like interests and what I'm passionate right now may evolve over time. So by the time when you are doing your PhD, you may get exposed to new topics. So welcome those opportunities and take them equally.
Thank you, Dr. Subhradeep. Dr. Somdatta, Dr. Pratik, anything you want to add to that?
I might add one sentence to what the other three speakers spoke. They covered almost everything. So what I would suggest when you're writing your PhD application, have a look at the lab website. That gives you a bit of idea on the recent award wins of the faculty, what projects they are researching on. You have the topics available over there. If you see that you kind of relate to it, do read about it a little bit before you reach out to the people with some emails. That also helps a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Somdatta. So yeah, the all-rounded profile also matters a lot. So thank you for adding that. So another question I see on the chat is, and I think that's a very pertinent question, is how much does the reputation of a university matter while applying for a PhD? So is it worth like pursuing a PhD under a like very reputed professor, but in a university with a peer ranking less like more than 300? like something in that regard.
I can
Yeah.
answer this. I mean, again, this kind of boils down to the fact that people, when they're looking through applications and stuff, everybody has limited time. So when you have limited time, how do you have multiple applications, right? So you need easy filters. So unfortunate, the truth again is very easy filters are ranks of universities, because from the rank, it kind of gives you an idea that, okay, you have seen students from those universities, you have gauge, you know how to gauge an average student from that place. So reputation does matter. I mean, but again, I don't necessarily want this to be super discouraging in the sense also. So in a situation where you are, let's say, not from a super reputed university, then there are ways for you to prove yourself. You have to probably work a little harder than somebody who comes with a stamp, but don't get discouraged, I guess. It's just that the bar for you would be much, much higher. You have to show that despite maybe not coming from a reputed university, I have actually what it takes to be a top student in any top university. So you have to able to show that with your record that I have what it takes, which might take a little bit more effort.
Awesome. Thank you.
I want to add to that. This is like a very tricky question, and you're gonna get a response based on who you ask. So my comments would be is like matters, like the reputation of the university definitely matters. It adds the credibility. But at the same time, like the process is also very random. Like what I mean by saying that is like you have a great university, but like not like every faculty member is equally known. So they're not like their popularity is not the same. So if I have a faculty who is like sitting in a small university but doing great research as reflected in their publications, which is going to also yield in their students' publication. So I see like a student worked with a great person, has definitely yielded many good journal publications. I'm gonna definitely value that. So basically, like the research profile is very important, and the university name adds some value, some credibility, definitely, but it's a complete package. It's just not like you're gonna be filtered just based on like which university you graduated from. And this is like a kind of like in the US, it's always they have the forgetfulness. If you have not performed well in your early career, but now you're doing great job, you're gonna get like equally credited for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Subhradeep. Anybody else wants to add something to this?
I think I can add that, and I think as Subhradeep mentioned earlier, I think in a different question is that your letter of recommendations matter. So if you have worked in like someone's lab who is not from like a top rated college in like India, but they are well known for what they do, I think they need to like showcase that in the letter. And I think that's one of the important things that we do learn when we become like assistant professors. I think it's to write like good quality like letters of recommendation, because I think the notion that we have back home versus here is like slightly different. Whereas here it's like very succinct, but they would be like, yeah, this guy he came in, he just solved the whole problem. He published this like big paper in like Nature, Science, whatever. And those things like way more. But once you like look back from the perspective that we had back then, it would not look like a strong letter. But I think here, like brevity is your friend. You have to be concise and like write letters. So I think once you're like requesting letters, you should also like be trying to like inculcate that. And then also I think like, yeah, once you're like reaching out like advisors, like I know like we all practice for the GRE to like get good scores, but please do not use all your vocabulary in the email, because I have got like a few emails where they literally use like all the GRE words they practice that are down in an email. You don't have to sound like super like English professional when you're writing those letters. Be succinct, because if you're like succinct, that would be a more chance that I actually like go over your email and like reply in a timely manner. Whereas if I see it's like just a format like dear professor and not even my name, I will probably just assume it's like a template that you have been sending it to like everyone else.
Thank you, Dr. Indrajit.
If I can
Yeah, go
add
ahead.
something, I mean, okay, maybe this is from, again, things might differ from area to area, but at least in computer science, in terms of the recommendation letters, what I see is the style of writing recommendation letters in the US versus what we had is very different in the sense that the US, the letters are extremely florid. They are like every letter they're going to say like this person is the second coming of Jesus. They're going to they're going to probably get a Turing Award. So this person is the leading researcher in their field. So they're extremely florid, and sometimes they go to like 5 pages long. Versus in India, at least, I mean, the way we were, like, we are very conservative with, in terms of complimenting people. So our letters were much more brief, and which I think is a very interesting kind of cultural difference in the letter writing processes, which it might be helpful when you're writing, I mean, when you're asking letters from your recommenders to mention the fact that if they can specifically write in this project what exact contribution did you did, and kind of these things matter. For example, if they can say this student is in top X percentile of all of the students that I've seen in so many years, these kind of things, and also encourage them to say, ask them to say more positive words and maybe not be super conservative with using superlatives.
That's great.
In the
Exactly.
US,
Just
they
to
go
add,
in a very complete different direction. And they're like, yeah, every letter you would see, this person is like the next big thing. It's really funny to see that.
yeah, just to add to like Amrita's point, I think here also, like if you're saying something, like people usually give an example. Like if you're saying someone is like a team player, like give like some examples in the letter. Like just don't say that they work well as a team and then et cetera, et cetera. Like just try to give like examples of like why they're a team player or why they're like the next coming of Jesus or why they'll like win the Turing Award. So I think here, like I think they like specify and then they also like explain a little bit, giving instances why they feel that. I think whereas back then when I was like taking letters in like 2014, I think they were like super like dry. And again, that's what I was told. I like never saw those, but once I like got admitted at the University of Illinois, that's where I think there's a big difference. But I think I'm like slowly everything is changing. So I'm hoping that the letters that people will be getting now would probably be more adaptive. But there are also like resources online where they educate everyone about these like differences in the letters versus in like India versus in Europe versus in the US. So those could be good resources that you could direct your letter writers to if they're not aware. And I think that's like something that I would add to that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Indrajit. Those are really some great insightful answers. And I'm sure the panelists have really helped the audience get a clear perspective on PhD applications and on getting faculty positions abroad. I see we are almost out of time, so I'll hand the session back to Sayanta to close the session. Thank you all.
Okay, great job, Soham, and thank you to all our panelists for a great session today. We and our esteemed guest, Professor Pratik Dutta, for sharing your insights. So I think I will close today's sessions right now. So thank you again, everyone. It was a great meeting all of you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Shanta, I just want to, add one point over here.
Sure.
So I have a question to Amrita, Indrajit, and Somdatta, Subhradeep. So, in what way you can, engage your alma mater in your research?
I can start first if that's okay. Yeah. So for me, like I recently got the American Heart Association grant that gives me an opportunity to like not only fund grad students, but also like undergrad researchers for 3 months. So that's like something that I was thinking about, like maybe advertising like more and then have like undergrad researchers come and like work for 3 months and get some experiences. But I think that will like start like next summer. So like the 2026 summer is something that I'm like looking into advertising about that, where we'll have one undergrad from my lab, but the other position would be open and we could probably have someone. And then like every year, once we get like more grants, we could probably have like an allocation for an undergrad researcher from my alma mater who can like come in, do the research, and then like help us. And then it works both ways. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think I would also be echoing on the same idea that that Indrajit suggested, because I recently got 2 NSF grants, which are more on the terms of scientific machine learning for biomedical systems. So I can engage in research for undergraduate students to come here for the summer months and be a part of my lab and collaborate with the students that of my lab. So I think that can be a very good opportunity for their exposure.
Thank you.
So I can go next. So I'm actually looking for PhD students, and I would always prioritize students from my alma mater. So I got the NSF Career Award last year, and I have opportunity for PhD students. So every time I try to go to India, I always visit IIST, try to reconnect with the faculty members. But usually it's in the summer when I don't get to meet the students, many of them. So I'll be also willing to participate any kind of a seminar if there is an opportunity to share my research to see if any of the students would be interested in. And I'm actually looking for students starting from next August. So if you like, anyone can help me to reconnect with the interested students, that would be great. And I will try to reach out to the faculty members also. Hopefully, I'll get some responses and it will work out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can also add, I'm also actively recruiting students. So if you're interested in the type of research that I do, please feel free to reach out to me. And I'll also be in India this winter. So I would be happy to visit the campus and engage with the students.
So please, before you come over to India, please send me an email.
Sounds
So
good, yeah. I mean,
we
yeah,
can connect.
it just got decided, I think, yesterday. So everything is in a flux. I haven't booked my tickets yet, but yeah, I'll
That's great.
email you and tell you about the
All of
time.
you, anything you require on any opportunity you have, you can always, connect to me through email, and I'll be happy to, be in touch with you and help you in the process. Okay? And
Awesome,
when you
awesome.
be in the campus, please drop in for some time, and we can discuss it further for any kind of collaboration that we can have in future. I know your focus is something different right now, I understand, but gradually it has to be more. You have to evaluate more as a researcher, so you need more collaborations in future. So we are open to it, and we are in fact looking forward to all these things. Please get in touch with me for any kind of requirements that you might think. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll shoot out an email to you.
Sure.
Yeah, great session. And just wanted to add one last point. Like I did my master's here, and that also under a professor who was an alumni of IIST Shibpur. Like he gave me that opportunity, and I was an RA under him for 2 years. So yeah, it was nice session. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. So with that, we will end it.